Hey friends, over 60% of you are listening to me right now on an Apple product. iPhone, iPad, iTunes. I need your help. The truth is, Apple will make this podcast more discoverable to new listeners the more reviews it has. So I'm here asking you to take a moment and leave a review. If you've gained any value from this podcast, the greatest thing you can do for it, besides spreading the word and telling friends, is leaving a review. It's real simple. If you're on your phone, head over to my podcast page within the Apple Podcast app and leave a review. Or if you're on a computer, you can head over to my podcast page within the iTunes app. That's it. That's all I ask. And if you have other podcasts that you love, do them a favor and do the same for them. It'll make their day. Now let's get this podcast started already. Welcome to the Gary Cantrell podcast, episode number 4. Man, this thing's really, we're really at 4 already. That's pretty incredible. Thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you for your support. Thank you for subscribing. I always do this at the beginning and the end of the podcast, just very quickly. Gary'sPodcast.com/Amazon, or you can go to Gary'sPodcast.com and go to the menu on the far right. There's an Amazon button. Basically, to support this show, if you so choose to do so, you can basically make your purchases on Amazon, and Amazon kicks back just a couple of pennies to me, and a couple pennies can go a long way to help this podcast break even. I would love to break even one day, but I'm not going to stop doing the podcast. I'm going to keep doing it because I love doing it, and I appreciate you guys taking time every week to come and hang out with me, whether it be in your car, in your living room, bedroom, at your job. We're hanging out all over the place. So thank you guys so much for your support. Also, if you can, please leave a review on iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, wherever you get your podcasts. It helps with ranking. Believe me, it's not just downloads. It's also very much reviews. So if you can, if you like what we're doing here, please leave a review. I would greatly appreciate it. Now, that was literally under 2 minutes, and now we can already get the podcast started. Isn't that awesome to not sit through, 20 ads? I think so. So this has been quite a productive week, if I do say so myself. A lot of things going on here in Garyland, and my dog is actually sitting on the couch licking his feet. I'm watching him lick his feet. This is fantastic. Riveting podcasting. But this week, I've just been going through so much, trying to get everything situated. I've got a moving situation going through that right now. So just a lot of things happening here in Garyland. Went to AwesomeCon this weekend. My guest this week, Michael McNutt, on the podcast. That'll be coming up shortly. If you're here to hear his segment only, probably want to skip ahead 5-10 minutes. For those of you that are brand new and you're just jumping in first time, if I have a guest, I normally do like a talking segment before the guest. But if you're here for the guest, maybe you just want to jump right to the guest. I get it. Check the show notes. I will probably have where he comes in, because I don't want to waste your time. Ultimately, that's my goal. I'm trying to make this as user-friendly as possible, and, things will change, here and there as different things work. I get different feedback, but so far you guys seem to be enjoying what I'm doing, so I'm going to keep on chugging along until I hear otherwise. So Michael McNutt, guest on this podcast, coming up here shortly. So I was at AwesomeCon this weekend. Never been to AwesomeCon, never been to any con, Comic-Con, anything like that. Never been to any of that stuff. So this was quite the experience. The only thing that comes even remotely close is WrestleMania Access. And that's quite a gathering in itself. But this was on like a different level. This is like some next level stuff. And I mean, you've got people dressed up as all kinds of superheroes and, you know, different characters. I've seen Ghostbusters. I've seen all kinds of people. We talk about this in the interview with Michael. But there's just like a whole cast of characters from all walks of, you know, comics, entertainment, video games, you know, all kinds of stuff. Which is pretty wild. Something I didn't get to when I talked to Michael was, because it happened after I hung out with Michael, was that I actually ran into Jerry the King Lawler and Michael Kingston, the King Jerry Lawler, WWE fame, legendary wrestler. I got a chance to meet him. He will not be on the podcast. I'm sorry to disappoint. Michael Kingston, for those of you guys that don't know, Michael Kingston does a comic called Headlocked, which is a wrestling-centric comic. And on my old podcasts, I interviewed him, I want to say twice. I talked to Michael. Really nice guy, really cool thing. If you want to check out what he's doing, checked out Headlock Comic. I don't have the specific URL in front of me, but if you just Google Headlocked or Headlock Comic, it should come right up. So check that out. Support what he's doing. Very nice guy. And then I guess he had Jerry Lawler doing autographs at his table, and I met Jerry. I got to speak with him for about 2 to 3 minutes. Just such a nice guy. It's so different. It's always different from what you see on TV, because it's like, you know, somebody like Jerry, like I would expect him to scream puppies in front of my face, and there was none of that. It was actually like, hey, we're having a dialogue, a nice conversation, which is pretty wild. I got a picture. I posted it up on Instagram of me and Jerry. Paid $20 to meet Jerry the King Lawler, actually $20 for the picture. The conversation was free. And it was, you know, I'm a picture guy. I do collect some autographs, but I'm not big in autographs. You know, I go to so many of these concerts, and constantly I am wanting to get pictures with the artists, or if it's at wrestling events, getting pictures with the wrestlers, because to me, a picture is worth so much more. And that's just a preference. You know, a lot of people, they like their autographs, and that's fine. And like I said, I still have a couple of them, but it's not my primary focus. When meeting somebody, I'm looking for that picture, because while I can paint a vivid memory in my head of what happened, a picture will almost certainly always put me right in that moment, and it's a frame of reference. So anytime I can get that, it's a huge win. So I walked around Awesome Con after the interview. I don't want to give away too much of the interview, because you'll hear it like 5-10 more minutes. You're going to hear it. So, but I walked around. There's a lot of stuff, a lot of vendors, you know, selling this, selling that, comics books, t-shirts, toys, anything you could think of, that's related to this kind of culture of comics and video games and all this kind of stuff. It's all there. And walking around this convention center, the Walter E. Washington Convention Center in Washington, D.C., is a huge place. I got lost like twice. It was pretty crazy, to say the least. It was pretty crazy. So, but I finally found where I was going, and I met up with Michael, and we did our thing. You're going to hear that shortly. So that was Saturday. Sunday, my cousin Larry came over, and I'm really excited, because, you know, this week's show that you're listening to right now and the next week's show is kind of like a back-to-back 1-2 punch. You know, Michael and I, we go back about 4 years, and it was nice to catch up with him. So that was awesome. You get that in this episode. 1 week from now, my cousin Larry and I, we've known each other for over 20 years. I don't know that we've known each other since birth, but we've known each other for more than 25 years easily. But we talked about primarily nearly 20 years in music together, collaborating. You know, we were in 2 bands together, and I talked about his band before the band I joined him with and the band he was in after I was in the band with him. And we really got deep on this stuff, and I wanted to pick his brain because I've got so many memories of everything that happened when we were in the band together and all of this stuff. So I don't want to say a thing more about it other than make sure that you download next week's show, because it's really special. Hour and 20 minutes talking about not even just our music, but the bands we were listening to. For those of you that like when I go into my musical stuff, you're really going to love this, because, you know, we mention a lot of bands and things like that, and it's going to be awesome. So that was my Sunday. A little later on, we went over to Double J's house, celebrate Father's Day with him, had a cookout. My wife's brother just makes incredible food. I tell this guy every time I see him, he should be running a restaurant. He could give guys like Gordon Ramsay and Guy Fieri a run for their money. Second to none. Really enjoy the stuff he makes. I ate like a pig. But I knew that all weekend I went hard at the gym, and all week last week I went hard at the gym. You know, I switched around my schedule. So before I mentioned my schedule, I did lose 5 pounds on Monday. It's weigh in, you know, a 5-pound difference from the week before. The week before, like I had mentioned last week, I was pretty bummed. I was like, you know, I went up a whole pound. And I shouldn't beat myself up for it, but I did a little bit. And I was like, all right, I'm going to go hard and I'm going to figure this out. And, you know, to lose 5 pounds, I've done it before. I've lost more in 1 week before, but this was awesome. I mean, it felt really good. But I did adjust things. I did make some adjustments to my workout that I didn't necessarily change what I'm doing, but I changed when I'm doing it. So what I did, the previous schedule, Sunday was weightlifting, Monday, Wednesday, Friday was my walking / running on the treadmill. And, you know, I've done this now, dedicated to it for 6 months nearly. Since January 3rd is the first day I got in the gym. Okay, so I thought to myself, because there was a lot of anxiety of, you know, Saturday's coming up and I'm feeling, my body's just feeling like I'm going to be over or it's going to be really close. I might lose 1 pound. I'm still happy to lose that pound because I post all of my stuff to social media. I'm very transparent with my workout journey because of every other time past, I've always just given up. You know, so now there is that accountability. It's the reason why I post it. I've had a few people ask me, you know, all you do is post these screenshots of your activity from your Apple Watch. Yes, that because it's transparent. Every Monday when I do my weigh-in, I broadcast it to all my people because they need to know where I'm at as far as I'm concerned, because if I get off the beaten path, there's going to be questions. And I've got people that are rooting me on, and I do appreciate the support. I really do. So I try to make it as transparent as possible. So this past week has kind of seemed like a change of how I do it. Okay? So Sunday is now a walk-run day. Okay? Monday is kind of become like my cheat day. It's also become the weightlifting day. And I had to approach this like, you know, again, I was stressing throughout the weekend, wondering where my weight was going to land. Very worried about it. So enough with the worrying. Let's take that off. Let's take it off the table. There is no more worry. You go hard the whole week. You should be good. So Monday is like the weigh-in day. It's the cheat day after the weigh-in, obviously. And it's the weightlifting day in the evening when I go to the gym. Because the weightlifting, my heart rate is down pretty low. I'm lifting weights. I'm not sweating a ton. And I'm only burning maybe 600 calories if I'm lucky. So I should use Monday, that weigh-in day. I can breathe a sigh of relief. Oh, I lost a pound or whatever, or I maintained or whatever the number is. Again, like I said last week, this number is only relevant for a few moments. You record it and then you move on to the next week. But then the weight comes off the shoulders and you know that, okay, I've got all week now to battle off some more pounds. And that's how I approach it. Again, everything's not going to work. Everything that I'm doing is not necessarily going to work for you, the listener. I've said this before. I'll say it again. So much we Google, how do I do this? How do I do that? And we think that what people are posting is the answer. Like we have to do word for word exactly what they say. And I've had people tell me that you've got to work out this way. You've got to eat this way. No, I don't. I don't have to do that. I can pave my own way on my own terms and I can be successful. Or I can fall flat on my face and if that time comes, then I'll reevaluate what I'm doing. But until then, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Just keep on rolling. So, you got Monday weigh-in, cheat day, weightlifting in the evening. Wednesday, Friday, back to walking, running, jogging, whatever it is. Sometimes on Saturday, man, I get a little urge. I want to go to the gym. I'll throw in an extra hour, bonus hour. Boom. Don't even mind it at all. And then what is it? And then Sunday, walk, run, jog, a little combination. I'm really weird. Again, everything I'm doing may not necessarily work for you, but I do play with the buttons on the treadmill a lot. I do fidget with it, if that's the right word. I like to have that control of the speed because when I feel like just walking, I got my 3.5. That's my bare minimum, okay? When I decide, all right, let's pick up the pace a little bit, I'll jump it up to 5.5. Sometimes, if I'm not watching something on TV on my iPad, I'll have some heavy music on, and that's what I really want to crank it up. Now we're at 7, 8, or 9, and yes, I've got it up as fast as 9. And yes, I'm a lunatic, and yes, it only lasts about a minute if I'm lucky, but it feels so good to run so fast and sweat and be out of breath because I'm kicking my body's ass and I'm saying, you look here, you get into shape, and you will get into shape, and we're going to make it happen. So you're getting your body worked up and you're saying, all right, let's go. That's what I like. That's what gets me fired up. I love it. If you try anything, maybe you try that. Throw in some heavy music and then crank up that treadmill to 7 or 8 or 9 if you're feeling real crazy and see how that works out for you. Seriously. So that's the scoop. I'm leaving Tuesdays and Thursdays wide open unless something else in my schedule comes up. There's a reason for that. This is the final thing I'm going to talk about. Then we're going to get to Michael McNutt, I promise. So I need a second income. And, I'm going to flat out tell you, I'm in a lot of debt. Trying to get myself out of debt. How am I going to do that? I decide, a lot of times I'm driving around the area looking for something to do. Walking around here, walking around there, driving around in my car, checking out the sites here, checking them out there. So I thought maybe it's time to put, to make some money on these trips that I'm taking. So I decided to become a rideshare driver. What am I talking about? I'm talking about Lyft. I'm talking about Uber. I signed up for both of them. That's right. Because I'm going to try each one and see which one benefits me more. And you want to talk about another way that you can support this podcast coming soon, probably by the time you're listening to this podcast, if you go to my website, garyspodcast.com, I'm going to add another button to that menu right next to Amazon that's going to say rides. And there'll be links where you can get $5-10 off your first Uber or Lyft ride. How cool is that? Save a little money. Maybe you need to take a short trip. Guess what? Your ride is free. It could be if it's under $5 or $10 or whatever the coupon's for. I have to go look at it. But I'm going to post these codes on my website. And if you don't buy stuff from Amazon, maybe you're taking some rides around town in Uber, I'm going to post some promo codes and hook you up with a good deal on an Uber or a Lyft, because that's where I'm at now. That's what I'm doing. I really want to try to make some more money so I could pay off this debt. And that's what I got to do. I'm already in the car. I'm driving around town. I might as well make a few bucks on it. That's the way I look at it. So, I'm just trying to think, is there anything else? Did I forget anything from this week? I don't think so. This weekend, the plans are a little bit open. I'm not really sure exactly what's going down yet. I know Sunday night I'm going to see the New Kids on the Block. That's going to be crazy. Seriously, I know some of you guys are like, what the hell? I listen to everything. Primarily, you listen to this podcast, you hear me talking country music, or next week you'll be hearing my cousin Larry and I talk about like underground, indie, emo, hardcore, pop punk, all that stuff. We'll be talking about that. I listen to that stuff. And then I listen to, a lot of pop, older pop, New Kids on the Block, NSYNC, Backstreet, Britney, all that stuff. I jam out to many things, guys. It's not just one thing or the other. But anyway, they're in DC next Sunday, or this Sunday. They're on a tour with Paula Abdul and Boys to Men. So I'm thrilled to go and see this show. My wife and I are going to go. So I'm really looking forward to checking that out. But with that out of the way, I think we're going to get now to the matter at hand. We're like 20-something minutes in, and y'all were like, you promised me Michael McNutt, so you want Michael McNutt. Here he comes. This is the interview we recorded at Awesome Con. I'm going to go ahead and just say goodbye to you now, because after this, the interview is just going to play, and then the show's going to be over. So go out, have an awesome week, be the best you that you can be. Go out there, do kind stuff for others, and just live life to the fullest, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. Check out my interview at Awesome Con in Washington, D.C. with the one, the only, Michael McNutt.
Check 1 2, check 1 2.
You've always had a solid voice, I got to tell you that.
Thank you. Appreciate it. You too.
Well,
jealous? I'm jealous.
I don't know if it's that good. I think you got the better voice.
I think, when you're on, when you start going, because every now and then mine will crack because I get all loud and like I'll lose I get all emotional. I can't level right.
Well, for the record, we're already rolling. I like a little unnatural kind of, or a more natural kind of deal. So
luckily I didn't say anything too rude or inappropriate.
Welcome to the Gary Cantrell podcast, Michael McNutt. Is it now the artist formerly known as MC Hater? What is the deal with that? Can you give me just a brief background? What happened?
It's all about rebranding and reinventing yourself. Madonna can't be the only one who does it. I have to do it myself. So you know what? The Hater Nation, it's floating out there in the Nexus right now. It's out there, and I'm proud of the things that we did, myself, Ali, and BA. But things change, things move on, and I got to kind of diversify myself, and that's why I came back to the old Michael McNutt. So it's like this is the third time around now. I used to be the Nut, and now I was MC. I was the Nut.
How clever is that?
Now that was a good one. I didn't want to mix things up, so I became MC of the Hater Nation, thehaternationshow.com, by the way. I still plug it.
There you go.
And now I'm still just Michael McNutt, part of the NovaCon. The NovaCon, July 28th, 29th, and 30th at the Ritz-Carlton in Tysons Corner, Virginia.
That's how damn smooth you are. You just roll right in with a promo. I like that.
I'm all about plugs, baby. I'm all about the plugs.
I was going to set up where we were. I was going to say, man, we're here, we're doing this, and then ease you in. But that's how much of a pro you are. You just work it right in. I like that.
I know. You know, I got to sit there. I'm working the table here. I'm trying to get people interested in the NovaCon while we're here at. And I'll let you intro where we're at.
At AwesomeCon, Washington, D.C. Appreciate you having me out here.
Oh, man, my pleasure, man. It's been a long time since we did the wrestling show on the old Hater Nation show.
It's like 4 years ago now, Michael.
I was hoping to do something like that like once a month, and it just fell flat on its face.
Well, it can be said that this can be done at some point. We can figure it out.
All right, we can figure it out. In fact, I have to. I'm going to be on a panel tomorrow at AwesomeCon.
Okay.
Speaking about pro wrestling.
No kidding.
Yes, finally. It's coming full circle. I hang out with Gary Cantrell, and I'm talking about pro wrestling all over again. So
give me a little brief about that. What's that all about?
I don't know.
You don't even know?
No, I don't know. It's going to kind of be I guess, Money in the Bank is tomorrow, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, Money in the Bank tomorrow. So we're going to definitely talk about Money in the Bank. But then we're going to kind of talk about, I guess, it's an annual panel that they do.
Okay.
So I guess we're going to talk about the entire year in review in professional wrestling and then end with probably a little bit about Money in the Bank.
Right. Now, I mean, to be fair, podcasting is a lot like that. Like you said, you just show up tomorrow and start rolling with it. That's a lot what podcasting was like. It's like you cut on the mics and you have a good time. That's what we're doing. Got a little hang here. And
it's just a hang.
I like that. I mean, yeah, you prep. You want to talk some news. I like that too. But sometimes there's something to be said for just cutting on the mics and just seeing what happens.
That's what I mean. And when you were doing that and doing it now, and even with the Hater Nation, that was the whole point. We were sitting in a basement, and I hit record, and we just let it roll for 2.5 hours.
Yeah.
And then of course, once you get deeper into it, you understand kind of the nuances of podcasting, like, hey, you got to make it an hour, no one's going to listen, or 45 minutes. Then you got to do it weekly. So it was like it became less of an experience and more of a job that didn't pay you, which I don't appreciate. So
that is true. It's a labor of love.
It's a
Michael.
labor of love.
I knew that getting back into it. Believe me.
I know. And a lot of what you said in that last podcast, I echoed, and I reached out to you and I said, I feel exactly what you're feeling.
Yes.
Because it was like I was getting tired of coming up with story ideas instead of just letting it be a hang.
Right.
Tired of finding guests. Oh, let me go find the guest. Let me secure the guest. Let me make sure I got a good call line with the guest. Editing, promoting it, all that stuff. And it's like it became less of, hey guys, let's just hang out and record. It became, you became more fixated on each week, I got to produce something that's going to be good, and now I got to spend the next 2 days after I produce it to promote it to everybody.
Right.
And it wasn't fun. I'd love to be like a sidekick, but I wasn't. I was the main guy,
One more thing about the podcasting, and then we're going to talk about this NovaCon deal. What do you think about, because when we met 4 years ago, podcasting was starting to really come full steam, and now, man, what's your take as far as you look at the overlook of the podcast world? What do you think about all that?
It's kind of like voice acting in movies. Like 20 years ago, just anybody, a person would do voice acting, you would know who the hell they were.
Yeah.
It was some guy, but like the voice acting community knew who they were, and they were fantastic at it. Then something happened. It was like, Tom Hanks and Tim Allen did Toy Story, and now suddenly it was cool for celebrities to be voice actors. So what they did, they pushed out a lot of the kind of pure artists, and that's kind of with podcasting. Now it's like every comedian, every actor, every person has a podcast.
Yeah.
Because they want that additional line of exposure, it's not a product line, but it's kind of a media line.
Promoting their product, essentially.
And what they do is it just becomes a cycle. So what happens is the folks that just kind of created the idea of the podcast, they hang. Now, let's look at a topic, let's like kind of bury ourselves into it. That's kind of been forgotten in exchange for this kind of, you're nothing unless you have a podcast.
Right.
Celebrity, comic, actor, actress, scientist. So it's branched off to so many different things. It's almost crazy if you met someone who hasn't even been on one or hosts their own podcast. So it's kind of a watered down thing. It's kind of fearful because you listen to some of these podcasts out there, the quality is just, I don't know if I can say the right word.
Radio. I remember those days.
Yeah, it's like, remember those days. It's still out there. I hear some stuff out there. It's still like, Wow, really?
Yeah.
It's 2017. We're like, next year we'll probably have a flying car, and you still can't get good audio?
I can't believe they haven't figured that out yet, Michael, because they've been around forever. They're charging everybody now.
Exactly.
How do they not figure that out? You plug in a mic USB or whatever, or a board USB, and then feed that audio, and then give your customers a higher bitrate MP3. And now we're talking really nerdy.
Yeah, we're getting really
podcasting,
geeky.
but
here at AwesomeCon.
Here at AwesomeCon,
Might as
Washington,
well.
D.C. By the way, I'll get to you in a minute,
Ooh, I
sir.
love the T'Challa shirt. Where did you get that shirt from?
Can I say it here?
Sure.
EB Games. What is it called now? GameStop?
GameStop?
Yeah.
Shut up. I'm going
On the
over
discount
there.
rack. So,
All right.
There you go.
I love that shirt.
We're
here at
interviewing a guy
AwesomeCon.
here,
I'm
yeah.
talking with the people here at AwesomeCon. I'm working on promoting the NovaCon, but if I see a cool shirt, I got to ask the guy.
That's
I
right.
got to ask him.
One thing on AwesomeCon, I will say, this is actually my first con I've attended. Believe it or
What?
not. Yes.
That's kind of surprising.
I've been to WrestleMania Access, and I was going to tell you.
It's kind of the same idea.
Yes, very true. The walk into this building, trying to find everything. Dude, you know I've been on the weight loss thing. This thing was a workout. I could say my workout for today is done.
Yeah. No, I'm on the Fitbit too. So, I'll walk.
Yeah.
I think I was halfway through the day yesterday. I was done. It was vibrating. I'm like, I can sit there and eat a pizza. No.
I had one last night.
But, got to give big props to Ben Penrod, who I met 5 years ago.
Okay.
Randomly, who's the founder of AwesomeCon. The first year, he was in a small room here at the Washington Convention Center. A small room. I think Ernie Hudson was his lead guy.
Right.
Now you got David Tennant. You got Stan Lee. He has the entire Washington, D.C. Convention Center. There's people cheering about something going on. There's a museum in the far corner.
This thing is filled up, man.
This is insane. This is absolutely insane.
But I will tell you, when I was coming down the escalator, you know one of the first things I saw? The NovaCon.
Exactly. Perfect placement here. We're right down the middle of Broadway, I'd like to say.
This is
Broadway, yep.
Fantastic. I tell me about this NovaCon, because I've been seeing you plugging and tweeting and Facebooking and all this stuff. Is this is your baby?
Well, it's a baby of many.
Okay, a baby of many. All right.
Of many. It's
leave it to me to try to bury everybody else.
No, labor love. There's Kevin Bednar's right here. He is one of the co-founders. Can
I say about this guy? This guy, I love the pictures he was taking, because he takes the high angle, and the big guys, we appreciate the high angles. Hold on, buddy. Hold on.
Oh, no. He says all about the portrait mode.
The new iPhone 7 beta test, it's all about the portrait mode.
Absolutely, I agree.
We're plugging iPhones, we're plugging GameStop, we're doing all sorts of things here.
We're plugging everything. So now let's talk NovaCon.
Definitely a labor of love.
How did this come about?
Came about a couple years ago. I would like to say, while I'm not considered one of the founders,
okay,
is there a title for catalyst of the NovaCon? Because
you've been rolling hard on this. I've been seeing posts every day.
I know Kevin,
all right,
and I know the other co-founder, Fernando Miko,
right,
and I connected them. So it's easy to deduce that without me, there would be no NovaCon. You know?
That's easy to say.
Easy to say, because I knew both these guys. They did not know each other. And then they said, what do you know about Fernando? What do you know about Kevin? I might get into some kind of business with them. And this was about 2.5 years ago. And I said, hey, salt of the earth guys, whatever you're doing, count me in. And then, about a year and a half later, they're like, this is what we're doing. We're doing a Comic-Con. We're doing our own Comic-Con. And I said, this sounds great. It's going to be in Northern Virginia. Northern Virginia hasn't had one.
Yes.
Some people will argue back in the mid-'90s, there was some strange con going on there. But okay, we'll give them credit. We're the first one in Northern Virginia in quite some time. All right?
Right.
So a comic book convention, I call it, without having to go through every single little nuance of what a con is, it's a celebration of pop culture. That's what it is.
I was about to ask you that, because there's people like me, and I know there's probably people screaming at their phones, their car radio, saying, how do you not know what this is? But there's people like me who don't get kind of what this is all about.
What the overall experience is. So, like you said, a celebration and a showcase of pop culture. And that, of course, the great thing about pop culture is it is constantly evolving to the point where, we're looking at a wall of Funko dolls right up here. I'm standing.
There's a lot of Funko dolls over there.
I'm standing next to a comic book vendor.
Right.
To the left of us is a T-shirt vendor with cool T-shirt of comic book characters. Walking around, there's a gentleman in front of me with a sword.
With a sword.
Only place where that's okay.
You got that right. Holy moly.
There's a Star-Lord with booty shorts.
I saw a guy daved up as Super Dave Osborne.
So
that's a throwback.
And that's a throwback, but that's the great thing about the con.
Yes.
It's a celebration. So there's people out here wearing retro outfits. People wearing, what's the restaurant from Clerks?
The restaurant, movies, the movie muffins.
There was
Movies, there you
There's
go.
a girl dressed as a movie server walking around with fake movie sandwiches. You're going to have stormtroopers. There's a Santa Claus right here.
Holy
with some
it's
scary
Christmas.
monsters with them.
Santa Claus with monsters. I can say that I've honestly never seen this before.
Yeah.
This is amazing.
But it's all over. Yesterday, we're walking by, and Jerry the King Lawler's here.
Yeah.
Hey, we'll see you there.
You
next
saw
month.
Jerry Lawler.
Jerry Lawler.
6 more months.
All right, bad. We'll take bad Santa.
The real Jerry Lawler?
Jerry Lawler was right around the corner at one of the booths signing autographs.
Shut up.
Shinsuke Nakamura is down there right now.
Holy moly.
Charlotte Flair's over there. So, like, wrestling, you're like, wrestling. I love wrestling. But then you have all these other experiences. Comic books, artwork, vendors, virtual reality, video games, Pokemon, Dungeons and
Everything's
Dragons.
here.
Dungeons and Dragons, something that we used to look at and watch other people do. I never did it. 30 years ago,
Right.
It's always been around, and it's always been around in these cons. There's a guy dressed as Star-Lord right now walking around with his own personal soundtrack. That's what you're going to see at a con. You'll never see the same thing twice as you're standing right here in Broadway watching people walk by you.
When I was outside, I saw representatives from Ghostbusters 2 and then Ghostbusters reboot.
Yep. And the
Together in
the
unity.
car is right behind us, about a couple of blocks away, a couple of aisles away. The car's over there. You can take a picture in front of the car.
Oh, I'll have
so
to do
it's all
that.
about the experience. It's all
Yes.
about just having fun. And it's a really safe environment. In this day and age, you're always scared and concerned about security. But a place like this, man, everyone's watching each other's back.
Yeah.
Everyone's taking care of each other.
It's a real community.
It's a community,
Okay.
and it's a huge community, all for unique loves. You'll have people in here who will never watch Guardians of the Galaxy, and you'll have people in here who have never played Dungeons and Dragons.
Right.
But they will coexist for the love of the idea of culture.
Got some feller over here, a green, orange
Green spaceman person. No idea who
spaceman.
that is.
I don't even know who that is, but I like it.
But right behind him is Captain America and some redhead who's not ever with Captain America.
I see a guy with really cool hair over here.
Exactly. Then there's a girl with a Spider-Man outfit.
I see Link in the back. I mean, you got everything over here, Michael.
You'll never see the same thing twice standing right here walking by you.
So people listening, maybe they're getting excited right now. When they come to the NovaCon, what can they expect? Essentially,
A very
what you're
similar
seeing here.
slice of life with our own unique twist on it. It's going to be a very intimate affair. Not in the sexy way, but an intimate affair in the way that, it's a smaller event. It's
Right.
a first time. We're first time cons. We have a great ballroom at the Ritz-Carlton in
You're going to be
Tyson's
in
Corner.
Tyson's.
Tyson's Corner, right there.
How'd you land on Tyson's?
It's a kind of a nexus of everything right there. It's kind of in the middle of everything. People can access it through the Metro. People
Metro,
can access
yeah.
it easily through 495 and 66. So it was like kind of right dead smack in the area. Plus, it's kind of, optics-wise, it's kind of cool to say you're having your con at the Ritz-Carlton in Tyson's Corner,
That is
Virginia.
pretty cool.
As opposed to a typical convention center, which, it's a large endeavor. But the Ritz-Carlton in
A
Tyson's
couple
Corner,
years from now, I have a feeling.
couple years
you'll
from
be
now,
rolling in here.
We'll be working with Ben and trying to have a dual thing going on. Who knows? But right
Yeah.
now, it's a nice, intimate affair. Nice ballroom, carpet, chandelier, the whole nine. We'll have inside the ballroom. We'll have our vendors. We'll have a stage. We'll all be the master of ceremony. We have a DJ.
Oh, that's a perfect gig for you, buddy.
Exactly. I'm gonna have a fun time. We'll have a DJ playing music from Friday all the way to Sunday. Cosplay contest, 4 of them. 1 for kids, 3 for adults. $1,500 in cash we're giving away.
Who do you have people that you can announce that are
Yes.
coming?
Yes, I can.
What
As
do
I
we
reach
got
over
here?
and grab myself a flyer.
There you go.
Kelly Hu from X-Men 2 and the Scorpion King.
Ooh.
And she's on Arrow. She's a
She's a
semi-regular.
looker. Look
yes,
at her.
She is. Yes, she is.
Ooh. Sorry,
John
honey.
Wesley Shipp from The Flash, NYPD Blue, and Dawson's Creek. The cool thing about John Wesley Shipp is he was The Flash back in the 90s when the show was on CBS.
Okay.
He is now a version of The Flash on the show now on the CW in 2017.
Oh, that's
so John has
awesome.
gone full circle here
circle.
with The Flash. William Catt, the greatest American hero. So what you're seeing here with John Wesley Shipp, who was on one of the first Flashes, one of the first TV shows,
Right.
kind of in this new era, this new millennium. Kelly Hu was an X2, highly regarded as one of the best comic book movies.
Yes.
And William Catt, greatest American hero, who was also a TV superhero, one of the first ones of notable, that was of notoriety.
Yeah.
We have some of the kind of OGs of superhero TV-dom right now. And then you move over to the new guys, Stranger Things, Randy Haven, who played
Ooh,
the
Stranger Things. That was a good show.
We have Barb. We
Ooh.
found Barb. Barb, who was missing at the end of Stranger
She's
Things
been missing
season
for a
1.
long time, has she not?
We found her. She'll be here next month. Shannon Purser, who's also on Riverdale on the CW,
Okay.
and Catherine Dyer. So you have Randy Havens, who was Mr. Clark, the boys' science teacher.
Right.
Catherine Dyer, who worked with Matthew Modine on the side hunting down 11, and Shannon Purser. And the really cool thing about this setup is they're going to be doing a panel on Sunday, what we call Stranger Sunday, where we're going to redecorate the place. And that's the great thing about being in kind of a more smaller place. We're able to kind of redecorate and make things different each day. So Fridays are grand opening. It's a half day, but we're going to play lots of music. It's going to be more of a party scene, and we're going to have a high-profile cosplay contest, kind of high fashion with a runway. Saturdays, your typical Saturday big-time cosplay, kind of your mass media event. And then Sunday is going to be Stranger Sunday, where we have not only our 3 guests, but a panel. And in the panel, the moderator for the panel is the one and only Eduardo Sanchez. Now, if you're familiar with Eduardo Sanchez, he's the creator of the Blair Witch Project.
Oh, yes.
Okay, so he's one of this generation's most innovative and memorable filmmakers. I mean, he's the guy who but he says he doesn't want to take credit for it, but he perfected the idea of the found footage film. So Paranormal 1 through 75. All those other movies. You thank Eduardo Sanchez if you had a good time. If you didn't have a good time, thank some other guy. But if you had a good time, you thank Eduardo Sanchez.
Right.
The man behind the Blair Witch Project.
That is awesome. Now, people listening, they want to get their tickets. Where are they going, Michael?
They're going to thenovacon.com for tickets. So you go there, and tickets are Friday, Saturday, they're $25 each.
Ooh.
Sunday, $20 each. A weekend for $50. So
that
we're
ain't bad
trying
at all.
trying our best to be as
working man
affordable
can
as
be
possible.
there.
Working man, we love the working man.
Yeah.
All you Dusty Road working men out there, you come on out. Have a good time. Experience it. Northern Virginia. You don't have to drive out to D.C. anymore. And, there's free parking in Tyson's Corner.
Ooh.
You don't have to worry about that. So you're saving all your money so you can spend all your time hanging out at the con, hanging out with all our cool vendors, and participating in the cool panels and having a great time.
Well, Michael, I'll tell you this, man. Let's not wait another 4 years.
For real.
Every time I look up what you got going on, man, you always got something going, and I respect what you're doing, brother.
Hashtag Team Hustle, baby. It's all about the hustle.
Man, it's really good to see you, Michael.
Definitely, brother.
Thank you for coming on the podcast.
All the best with the new podcast. I want to be
working on it.
Maybe I'll have my own podcast. Maybe I'll have the Michael McNutt show. I don't know.
I think you have to. These sweet voice should not be heard on just my dumb podcast. You should have your own.
Well, I'm also doing
and
voice
hustle
work.
the hell out of
My
it.
other hustle is I do voice work from time to time.
Okay.
So anyone ever want to find me, I'm on SoundCloud under Michael McNutt, I think.
It's not
That's
the
it.
nut?
No, it's not.
I like that.
That's the professional stuff. I don't want potential clients saying, "Is this the nut?" No. Don't really want that.
And where can they find you? Like on the Twitter, the Facebook? Where should people
Twitter,
go?
It's still alive and still pushing out their crazy comments and crazy replies and crazy retweets at The Hater Nation on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. It's still alive, even though the podcast is on life support.
There you go. Well, go find it, people. And Michael, thank you again for joining me on the podcast.
Always my pleasure, brother. Good luck with everything, the podcast, the weight loss.
Thank you.
Kicking butt, taking names, if you will.
I'm working on it,
real
brother.
close to cutting a promo real quick. My God.
Oh, hold up. Thanks, Michael. I appreciate it, man.
Brother.
All right.